and welcome to the Cryptonaut podcast. I am Mark Storrs, and hanging out with me, as always,
Rob Morphy.
Oh, Rob, what's happening, buddy?
Not much. I mean, the sky's on fire. Canada's ablaze.
Yes.
UFOs are evidently real again, but not much.
All right, so a real quick recap. We took a bit of a break for Memorial Day.
Yeah.
Did some research catching up, nursed some hangovers, did whatever. We lost Chris in the process.
We do, sometimes.
He's not going to be here this episode, but, you know, he's doing good. Don't worry. He'll be coming back. And, yeah, the sky's on fire, apparently.
Yeah, apparently.
So
like, we walk outside.
It does not involve Chris.
It looks like Silent Hill.
Chris did not set the skies on fire.
No, he didn't, nor is he succumbing to skies aflame.
Yes, no. He is not
unrelated.
He is not currently in Quebec spiritually fighting fires for us.
I can't swear that that's not true. He could be doing that. And by the way, big love to Quebec and all our Canadian brothers and sisters up there, because God knows it must be a shit show. Because all the way down here, it's literally like outtakes from like the Crazies or like some 70s horror film where it's all fog machines and, you know, implied nastiness. But when you just breathe it in, it's terrible. And if it's that bad here, I can only imagine what it's like in those regions that are like right on top of it.
Yeah, man. So the world's on fire. There's a whole UFO disclosure thing currently happening. But you know what, Robert? We're talking about episode 293 today.
Yeah, we are.
You know what that is?
I do.
The Betz Mystery Sphere Part 3, The Dark Hynek. Oh, you did it.
Had to go there.
I love it.
When all was said and done,
shit.
these things usually get subtitled after I finish writing, and I'm like, I know it was a joke for the last episode, but that's really what this is about.
No, dude, this is it. We're talking about the Dark Hynek. I mean, when I got this email and I saw it, I was like, you son of a bitch, he did it. God damn it, he did it. Robert, let's get started. With the media, the military, and misanthropic millionaires, not to mention fringe flying saucer fans and terrifying trespassers closing in on all sides, the beleaguered Betz family allowed the object to be taken before a Blue Ribbon UFO panel for a potential $50,000 prize. Meanwhile, seemingly sinister forces were gathering behind the scenes.
Where they all want together.
I like how you put seemingly sinister forces so that my lack of a tooth is seemingly sinister forces.
The challenges. And when you overcome them, I'm like a proud pappy.
After the episode, I'm going to show you where they lasered my gums.
Okay.
And you can see the implant because now I'm part Terminator.
Oh, God.
I'm 1/16 in my head Terminator.
First you had Ethel's dead bones impacted into your skull.
Dude, no, but now I've been reborn and I'm a Terminator.
Oh, bless.
Dun, dun, dun. Dun, 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 dun. Look at me.
Yeah. I see. No, clearly.
I'm jiggling.
Yeah.
I'm jiggling. I'm coming at you, baby. I'm coming at you.
The fuck is going on?
The Dark Hynek, Robert. Let's fucking do this.
Okay. When the story of the Betz sphere broke in mid-April of 1974, following the bombshell revelation by a serving Marine officer that the device literally defied the laws of physics, the press, in an effort to break a news cycle dry spell and sick to death of covering the Watergate scandal, ran into overdrive. Within days, the story had spread across the globe, and with it came piles of people making the pilgrimage to the Betz's remote yet palatial Fort George Island estate to get the story or just a glimpse of the odd artifact. With this deluge of strangers came an array of attempted fishy business. Attempted.
Like this,
no one makes good.
We got spheres here, y'all. We got some spheres.
We got some fishy
you,
business. What do you want?
We got spheres with fish. We got fish with spheres. What do you want? What do you want? What do you want?
Illegal surveillance, threats, and even reports of physical assault.
It went from fun to suck real quick.
It does.
Yeah. Okay.
Strangers on your property, you just never know.
Yeah, you got physical assault, illegal surveillance.
Optimistic about humanity in general, but piles of strangers with an agenda on your private property, no bueno.
Just go there to sell bootleg t-shirts like everybody else.
Exactly.
Just make your own t-shirts. Make a little sphere t-shirt.
Make a little bit of profit on somebody else's good fortune with your own silk screen.
There you go.
Just makes sense.
It's punk rock, dude.
Understandably, the matriarch of the clan, Jerry Betz, whose son Terry had discovered the unique object, was becoming increasingly concerned about the safety of her blended family, which included her 4 children and 2 from her second husband, a marine engineer, Antoine, who ironically served aboard the same ship as Jerry's ex-husband, a speedy cargo vessel called the American Apollo.
Oh, it's a cool ship.
And I bring that up because his marine engineering skills will come into play in the next part of this Odyssey.
Oh, are you saying that we're going for a part 4?
And final.
We're not going to end it at 3?
No.
But it's not going to be 7.
But it will not be 7 or 5.
Yeah, dude.
And also because I erroneously reported that he was the father of the clan. But no, it was her first father that was Terry's dad.
Okay.
This is the new blended family. But there's 6 kids under her care, and she's concerned for the safety of all of them.
Understandably.
While her husband is doing marine engineering shit on the American Apollo and making a living.
Who also served with her ex-husband.
Yes.
There you go.
And probably a very challenging
A
circumstance.
small world.
Indeed. In an effort to help allay Jerry's concerns, one of her sons-in-law, a police officer, moved his family into the huge house so that he could be there during all of his off hours. But nothing seemed to be curbing the bizarre tide of humanity that was battering their doorstep. According to the Betz family member who conceded to an interview anonymously on Astonishing Legends, which we talked about a lot last episode, quote, freaky people were coming out of the woodwork.
Is that good or bad? You're like, as freaky people, man.
As weirdos ourselves who enjoy the company of weird people, that can be great. I think in this context, and a simple, cloistered family, that is not a good thing.
Yeah, and you know that there's that weird line with weirdo people where like you're weird and you're fun or you're dangerous.
Yeah, you're weird and you're scary.
And then,
you're weird and I've got kids around.
Yeah.
You're weird and put your dick away. There's that line.
Yes.
Sometimes the fine line is literally a zipper.
Dear weird friend, please put your dick away. Thank you.
Thank
the
you.
Stores family.
Wow. She discussed the fact that Jerry had been approached by wealthy, technically inclined individuals whose specific affiliation she could not recall. That's not Jerry. That's the unnamed family member. Couldn't remember where they said they came from.
Cool.
These men flew in to inspect the sphere and were picked up at the airport by Jerry's police officer son-in-law. Proving that they were men of means and serious about negotiating, the family gave him a $1,000 tip for the short ride.
No, throwing that around.
74, throwing that around.
That's a big old tip right there.
Once they arrived, before the men even had a chance to look at the orb, they offered Jerry $250,000 for it. Sight unseen.
It's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money.
I might give him the fucking orb.
Yeah.
Yeah. I might throw it at him.
I'm like,
Catch.
Take it, run.
Yeah.
Go.
Good luck.
Tell the neighbors I don't want fuckers on my lawn anymore.
This stupid fucking randomly moving orb. Enjoy.
I mean, I'd take that today in 2023.
Oh, shit.
But again, it's 74. I don't know what the exchange rate is. It's favorable.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you're making dough.
For some reason, Jerry's gut instinct was not to trust these clearly well-heeled but seedy investors, and she lied, claiming that the ball was not in her home, but under lock and key at the local bank until the next Monday.
Storing your ball at the local bank?
At the bank. Got to store the balls at the bank.
All right, man. I mean, could have came up with a better lie, but whatever. It's cool.
Clearly perturbed, the men's congenial demeanor turned icy cold, and they were escorted back to the airport, presumably San's second tip.
So weird.
Yeah, definitely fucking weird. When Jerry later tried to confirm the identities of the men who'd offered her this outrageous sum, she found that they were not who they had claimed to be and was never able to discern their actual identities. But she feared that they might be foreign agents.
Oh.
Spies.
Like from outside the United States?
Red spies.
Oh, no, the Russians?
Or
It's a terrible
Chinese.
Russian roll of my tongue.
Was that attempting to be a Russian accent?
Russian? That doesn't work.
Oh, God,
Yeah.
don't do it. No.
Robert.
Oh,
Hey, I did it. Yeah,
A little
yeah.
better. I mean, like, bad,
He
like,
will-
60s spy movie, but still.
He will die. That's my Ivan Drago.
Oh, with a little practice. We're going to work on
How
this.
dare you? It's my Ivan. God,
Yeah, no, it's
God damn
flawless. You're right. My bad.
it. Wow. Are you just taking up Chris's curmudgeon shit today?
Someone's got
Is that what you're
wear
doing?
the two hats
Oh, it's you this? I thought,
of Twin Tank Carno. Other shady would-be investors followed, some seemingly representing other nation states or secretive U.S. government agencies or even uncanny occult organizations.
Those are the guys you go to.
Yeah, the Crowleys. And the offers made on the mad device eventually reached the incredible sum, especially again in 1970s money, of $750,000 for a ball that they don't even know the provenance of.
It don't matter, dude. When the fucking occultists show up and they're like, here's an $150K, you fucking take that
Take
money.
that shit.
Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly.
I agree.
Yeah.
Why a woman who was not at the time wealthy, she would eventually become a reportedly self-made millionaire.
Oh,
with her
really?
trucking business and some other
Oh,
things.
no shit, good for her.
But at that time, not wealthy, with a large family to support, Why she would not simply accept this extraordinary offer and wash her hands of the whole affair is a mystery. But those who knew Jerry Betz best claimed that she was a woman of great personal integrity and that she was not going to let this potentially earth-shattering artifact fall into dangerous hands no matter what the financial rewards may be. Others suggested that the object belonged to her and her family, and she wasn't going to give it up before she knew what they were dealing with, no matter what price tag was put on it. So,
I mean, that's a level of integrity that I do not possess.
You and I both, friend. Not even close. There's like almost like even a cherished childhood object.
Yeah, totally.
Obviously not loved ones, but if it's, a tangible material object.
I got some cousins I could get rid of for that much.
Oh, that's fair.
Yeah. No, I'm joking. I love all my cousins. You're all very nice.
No, but in all seriousness, like I don't own an object, no matter how much it means to me, that I'm not like, for that much money, yeah, I'll get another one and, I'll make new memories.
We are not men of integrity.
All right. But she is.
Good for her.
It was at this point in the Oddballs Odyssey that an unidentified former science journalist, name will never be known, so give up hopes of that.
Awesome.
Who became so close to the clan that he would later marry into the family.
Whoa.
Shows up with his wife, falls in love. Not that has anything to do with our tale, but this is part of what goes on.
Oh, yeah, salacious dude.
So this dude enters the scene. What makes this unnamed individual so significant is that he would become the author of a 60-page manuscript regarding the details of what had actually happened to the family as a result of their contact with the sphere. This account eventually made its way via the Betz clan itself, so not under clandestine means, but like officially, into the hands of the hosts of the Astonishing Legend podcast, again, the great Forrest Burgess and Scott Philbrook. And though it is unclear how this journalist came into the picture, he was evidently given full access to the object and the family, and his outline added some much-needed clarification to the proceedings, particularly how ominous the situation was becoming. In fact, the first time he spoke to Jerry Betz via phone, she told him that she could not reveal any of the test results regarding the orb until they met face to face, as she was convinced that her phones were tapped and that her family was under government surveillance.
Oh, big gov coming in.
Every time.
Oh, big brother.
As the writer grew closer to the family, he was told that even though the Navy had promised in writing to present Jerry with hard copies of the test results, they'd initially refused, and that when Officer Berninger, easiest name in the world to say, had returned with the sphere, she actually forced him to sit down and type a rough report at her desk confirming what the Navy had found. Although he refused to sign the document, Berninger was eventually browbeaten into leaving a copy of the x-rays in the Betz's possession.
I love it, dude. Jerry is breaking him down, dude.
Fuck you, dude. You promised.
I'm fucking Jerry Betz.
No, I'm sure Jerry Betz never said the F word in her goddamn life.
Probably not, no.
Probably a saintly woman.
Still, probably doesn't have to.
But it was implied.
Again, integrity.
Subtext.
Exactly.
Integrity means the filthy shit gets put in the subtext, proving yet again that we are not a part of that.
We are not at all.
No, that's not part of our plan.
Nope.
But God bless her. So she gets the X-ray and a typed unsigned copy of generally what happened. The same journalist also claimed that the Navy's subsequent dismissal of the orb's mysterious makeup and odd origins, which even the Marines have refuted, were born of embarrassment over the fact that the Navy had been refused the right to retain the sphere, which at the time was made of what was considered to be a very rare high grade of steel. As a follow-up for his own edification, the science reporter approached experts at an unnamed engineering firm who claimed that they had only ever worked with such metal in the context of contracts with NASA, Bendix Corporation, which is an American manufacturing and engineering company, and Martin Marietta, a supplier of aggregates and heavy building materials. The expert claimed that they were only used in the construction of objects designed for extremely high pressure. In terms of how an object like the sphere might have been made, the machinist and welder claimed that the only viable method was spin casting, wherein molten metal is covered with sand and spun into a spheroid shape, then cooled, after which the axis it was spun on was removed, the sand would be poured out, the hole would be plugged, and the object would be welded back together, all of which would be clearly evident on X-rays of the object. When the writer showed the expert the Navy's radiographs, it was clear that this was not how the sphere in question had been manufactured. This left the old pro stumped, Even if the hole had been sealed by a laser, the X-ray should have shown it, and that also left the enigma of the 3 tiny spheroids within the ball, which definitely weren't shavings, actual spheres, according to this X-ray.
3 spheres within a sphere.
Right.
Okay, interesting.
What the hell were they, and why hadn't they been removed? It was mystifying. Compounding the mystery even more, after the writer brought the sphere to the Florida Technological University, where it was confirmed that the sphere had 3 poles, 1 north and 2 south, and a lopsided Y-shape, which they claimed was, quote, most unusual, especially for an object that was evidently not powered, but not impossible in Earth physics. So, these balls, if they were just normal shavings, should have been dumped out at the normal time.
Right.
They weren't. They obviously were intended to be there.
The 2 poles is weird.
There's the 2 poles, and we said different reports have said 4 poles, 17 poles. I'm exaggerating there, but the idea of these multiple poles are weird. And now, what this Florida Technological University representative adds is that for something that isn't mobile. I don't know how something mobile garners more poles. Again, our knowledge of fucking electromagnetics and physics, it could fill a thimble in this room.
Yeah.
So admitting that, I don't know how that works, but it suggests that something that isn't mobile, even though this thing is fucking mobile, but with no, rational means of propulsion.
Right. There's no engine to it.
Yeah.
Right.
Gotcha. That really doesn't make sense. It's possible in Earth physics, but it doesn't make much sense. During the course of the sphere's journey, the legendary Dr. J. Allen Hynek, according again to the anonymous Betz relative, the one that AL found, had grown from being merely an interested scientist looking to study the orb into a close family friend who visited often and was allowed to conduct tests on the object. In one of his many long conversations with the Betz tribe, Hynek even went so far as to reveal that exotic materials and alien bodies have been discovered at a UFO crash in the southwestern United States, presumably Roswell, which was significant due to the fact that this was years before the publication of Charles Berlitz and William Moore's 1980 book, The Roswell Incident, and the now near ubiquitous knowledge that alien carcasses were allegedly recovered at the scene of the incident. According to the eyewitness, Hynek claimed that these facts were being concealed by the government due to the fact that the revelation that we were not alone in the universe would, and fucking cue the band, same old fucking song.
Here we go.
Fundamentally change society, destroying religious beliefs and sending the populace into a panic.
Well, I mean, we're kind of going through that shit right now with disclosure, and no one gives a fuck. So guess what?
Well, I will, to give the devil his due, not that I'm calling Dr. Hynek, the dark Hynek, the devil. But to give the devil his due, 74 is not 23.
They did not have TikTok.
It's half a century.
Exactly. The times were different. People were simpler. They were more centered, perhaps. And now, we got TikTok and we got all kinds of Instagram reels and
people were still
YouTube
complex,
shorts.
but maybe
we're more distracted.
The
today.
interface with culture was simpler.
I like that. The
I'll say that.
interface with culture.
People were just as complex, dynamic, fucked up, and incredible as they are now, but there was less ways of engaging with other people and pop culture at large. There wasn't, Z-level celebrities like us fucking, doing their shit. You either
Triple Z.
You played the Poconos, or you fucking were on the fucking Tonight Show, or you were just fucking Ray at the corner fucking cutting hair or whatever.
Not us killing it on Spotify.
Yeah, just killing it.
Crushing it.
Oh, yeah. So that aside, maybe there was because again, bearing in mind, it's fucking 50 years ago. That is like a historical hunk, culturally anyway. Maybe there would have been more panic. Certainly in the 40s, I could see that being a legitimate concern.
Right.
And even recently, I watched a documentary done by what's his nuts, karate master who's all the time, he did the Lazar fucking documentary. The guy with the silver hair, nice hair, good beard, tattoos. Corbell.
Karate master?
Yeah, he used to run a dojo.
Oh, I didn't know.
Oh, yeah. So I'm not dismissing him. I just, I
had no idea he was a karate
He did
master.
this documentary some years ago called The 17th Patient. And it was about one of the last times Dr. Lear removed an alien artifact from a body.
Okay.
And And so all this is interesting, and they end up finding that this thing is, bizarre atomic weights, very similar to this case.
Oh, interesting.
Metals that do not seem like they came from our neck of the fucking galaxy.
Okay.
And reputable scientists are agreeing to this, not just the guy that was assigned to look into it who ultimately steals the fucking object at the end.
Ooh.
So some shady shit. Dr. Lear's assistant, I don't remember his name.
The Dark Lear.
Yeah, yes. Well, it wasn't him. He was light and airy until he ascended, but fucking his assistant is the dark assistant. But anyway, I know I'm going long-winded on this, even though I am intrigued by the similarities between what's inside the sphere and what's allegedly in alien implants. But at the end, the guy said, I'm just a simple guy. I don't want any of this to be real. He's had abduction experiences. He really wanted them to say it was like, because he's a carpenter, like a hunk of a nail that got stuck in my leg. Mm-hmm. Instead, it's like it's got these atomic weights that are from not just this, other ends of the solar system, but other ends of this galaxy. And he's like, well, if I do this, I consider myself a religious person, but that's going to pretty much throw that all out. And I thought that was a non-starting issue anymore. I thought, granted, I know he's probably a Christian and not a Roman Catholic. The Roman Catholic Church said, don't, limit God's abilities.
Right.
God can create other lives on other planets. It does not inhibit his skill set. It just means you got to start thinking bigger. And I don't know, where different various regional sects of Christianity stand on that. Some of them are probably much more provincial and much more conservative, especially if they're of a fundamentalist bent. And if that's the case, I get it. And I respect your beliefs, whatever that is.
It's cool.
But this guy, dead up in 2017, because the documentary is not that old, was just like, well, fuck, I'm fucked. My faith is fucked if I got abducted.
Yeah.
And so I guess maybe, long-winded as that whole speech was, there, for a certain segment of the American population and perhaps global population, the revelation of the actual existence of extraterrestrial entities will be in direct contravention of your religious beliefs and leave you in a quandary.
True. Well,
and that might be a legitimate concern. I don't think that's why the government doesn't reveal. I think they want to keep the secret to themselves.
Yeah. Well, there's some breaking news we're going to talk about on Patreon, so we'll see next couple weeks where that goes. Maybe we'll all no longer believe in God.
Well, Jesus Christ. Or maybe it'll just be another balloon in the lake that nobody ever looks for.
It was a balloon.
Wink.
It was a balloon named Jason. He was my son.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
You weren't watching him.
You weren't
fornicating in the cabin.
You were fucking.
You should have protected the balloon.
And now he's dead.
Now you'll all die. I don't know how that even works.
That doesn't matter. It doesn't have to. Don't worry about it.
All right. All that shit aside, he was talking about, Hynek was describing this to a family.
Cool.
Long before it was well known about the bodies.
He's discussing Roswell well before.
And he's saying, obviously, it could possibly change belief systems or whatever else.
Cool.
Though Astonishing Legends witness specifically cited Roswell. This is just me adding an aside here, so don't expect anything super insightful.
Okay.
Dr. Hynek might also have been referring to the equally unheralded, at the time, crashes that allegedly took place in either Aztec, New Mexico on March 25th, 1948, or Kingman, Arizona on May 21st, 1953. Nowhere near as big as Roswell, either of them, but still super significant in terms of crash retrieval lore.
Right. Gotcha.
Whichever case he was commenting on, the implications are that Hynek was aware of these events long before they became acclaimed in ufological circles, indicating perhaps that he still had connections on the inside, or more compellingly, though no less disturbing, that he may still have been clandestinely working for some secretive government bureau. And that his duty was no longer to publicly refute compelling cases, as he had for Project Blue Book, but to delve into these cases as a civilian scientist with a sympathetic ear and report back any significant discoveries.
The Dark Hynek.
The Dark Hynek.
Yeah, this is where he comes in, dude.
This might be difficult for many to believe considering the decidedly pro-UFO reality and anti-official secrecy stances that Hynek perpetuated throughout the latter half of his career. But this wouldn't at all be out of character for a man who was A, a patriot, and B, had already established many close connections with various individuals in intelligence and defense agencies during his long tenure within the government. In fact, even if he weren't secretly on the government's payroll, he may well have considered it his duty to report, as a matter of national security, if for no other reason, the existence of an object as strange and potentially destructive as the Betz sphere. And in illustrating this, I come up with a slightly more contemporary analogy. This is comparable to a more recent controversy wherein optical physicist, astronomer, and aerospace engineer Dr. Travis Taylor secretly reported to the U.S. government the appearance of an inexplicable frequency being broadcast at 1.6 gigahertz from a mysterious source in Utah, which he believed may have been coming from a foreign adversary, while working as part of the investigative team exploring, mostly on television, the enigmas surrounding the Uinta Basin's paranormally plagued Skinwalker Ranch. As a result of his report, he was offered the informal position of chief scientist on the Unidentified Aerial Phenomenon Task Force, that's the UAPTF, which is what's currently looking into it, I believe. It changes a lot. A classified position that he was not allowed to reveal to his fellow Skinwalker investigators until after he retired. Perhaps along these same lines, there is nothing suspect about Hynek's apparent duplicity, as he may have been striving for a higher good. And by this comparison, what I mean to say is, evidently, I don't know Dr. Taylor. I mean, I've seen him on TV plenty over the years. He reported this because he thought maybe it was some foreign agents, and he's like, check it out.
Okay.
And then he got sucked into it, and he couldn't tell his boss, at least on that project, which would be Brandon Fugel, I believe his name is, who owns the Skinwalker Ranch currently, bought it from Bigelow. And so it's not necessarily something super shady, even though I can understand working with him, how you would be like, how the fuck do I trust this guy anymore?
Well, yeah, I mean, after you like blow in a rogue signal and you're like, oh, by the way, now I run the AAROP or whatever the fuck it's called.
Yeah, and by the way, I couldn't tell you guys anything because I would have been arrested.
Yeah.
And maybe that's true, maybe it's not, but I get where that's a little shady. So maybe it's innocent shady on Hynek's part. Maybe it's the gray Hynek.
Oh, he's like the light gray.
Right.
The light gray Hynek. He's just a little evil. His goatee's getting a little sharper.
Isn't it getting a little pointy every time you start talking about the dark Hynek? Aren't the sunglasses getting a little more horn?
Yeah, a little pointier.
The Van Dyke's getting a little pointier.
He's going to complete LaVey territory.
Not complete, just touches.
Give him LaVey. Give him LaVey with a hat.
Dude, there might be a t-shirt.
Oh, dude. The Anton LaVey.
I might have started the illustration.
Oh, my God, really?
I did, yes.
Oh, no. Sweet. All right. I want to see it.
So we could sue.
I don't think Hynek. Well, his family might sue us. It's okay. We'll figure it out.
It's the dark Hynek. It's not even the real one.
Him. It's the dark Hynek.
Yeah, come on. Whatever.
All right, cool.
All right. Whatever his affiliations or actual agenda might have been, Hynek was clearly in the know regarding supposed top secret UFO crash retrievals. The question is, was he using this information to impress the Betz family with his inside knowledge for mere ego gratification? Or was he attempting to become intimate with the crew, especially Jerry, in an effort to curry the kind of favor and trust that allowed him to remove the sphere without supervision so that he and his cohorts, whomever they may have been, could conduct whatever experiments they deemed fit, as long as they were non-evasive, and left no obvious damage to the orb? Or was his agenda even more pernicious, with a duplicitous plan to, as many have contended, replace the original object with an inert and utterly terrestrial lookalike?
He has the double ball?
He might have double balls.
The double ball switcheroo.
Could be.
That's rare, dude.
Yeah.
Only seen in 73.
Only. 73 to 76. And then it was declared universally illegal. New Geneva Convention rules.
Everyone came, the UN came together.
Yeah.
Was the UN started back then? I don't fucking know.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, whatever. It's fine. And they were like, this is what we're not doing. The double ball switcheroo.
Single ball switch? Fine.
Yeah, double ball switcheroo? God damn you.
Triple ball? How dare you?
You fucking animal. Wow. How dare you?
We are a civilized planet.
You piece of shit. How dare you?
Whatever the answer may be, the now ingratiated Hynek used his influence to convince the family that they might be in possession of evidence of extraterrestrial technology, and as such were eligible to win the National Enquirer's annually offered $50,000 reward for incontrovertible proof of the reality of ET intelligence. In the early 1970s, the editorial staff of the National Enquirer, and most other popular publications for that matter, took a serious interest, at least in terms of profit margins, in subjects like ESP, cryptozoology, ufology, and parapsychology. On May 12, 1972, the publication offered an award of $10,000 for the best scientific evidence of the reality of UFOs, and $50,000 to the first person who can prove that an unidentified flying object came from outer space and is not a natural phenomenon. This already bountiful sum was raised to $1 million by 1976.
Oh.
Dr. Hynek was aware of the award as he was a member of the so-called Blue Ribbon panel that the Enquirer took great pains to assemble and to decide the merits of the UFO cases to be considered.
How awesome is it that the Enquirer, a total trash mag,
Yeah.
I love them though, they're so good, has the Blue Ribbon UFO panel.
I'm going to get into that right now.
Okay, cool.
At this point, it bears mentioning that in 1952, and now you're about to learn some shit that I bet you didn't know about the National Enquirer.
Oh, we're going deep in the National Enquirer?
Yes.
I love it.
In 1952, the New York Enquirer, a traditional newspaper, was purchased for the then princely sum of $75,000 by a 25-year-old man named Generoso Pope Jr., Gene to his friends.
Okay, cool.
In 1954, Pope changed the publication's name to the National Enquirer, and what he explained was a desire to exploit the prurient interests of the kind of people who gather at car accidents, turned it into the tabloid that is so infamous today. Interestingly, Pope did not start out as a publisher and seemed to be destined for a very different career path. In 1946, at just 19 years old, he received a degree in general engineering from MIT. After graduation, Pope forsook the scientific world to enter the CIA, where he served in their psychological warfare unit until at least 1950.
What?
Yeah.
Oh,
MIT grad at 19.
Okay.
So young genius.
Right.
Joins the CIA.
And then goes to the fucking National Enquirer.
And then, well, get this.
Honestly, though, as far as a 1, 2, 3 step goes, it makes sense.
Right.
It really does. It seriously does. He's a fucking CIA op.
Odder still, when he decided to purchase the Enquirer just 2 years later, Pope, though coming from a wealthy family himself, allegedly did so using funds garnered from notorious New York crime boss Frank Costello, who was also his literal godfather.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Dude, this guy's deep, dude.
During the course of his bizarre career, it was said that Pope Jr. had connections with power brokers as diverse as FDR, Harry Truman, Dwight D. Eisenhower, not fucking shit, Dwight D. Old Eisenhower, like himself.
Oh boy, Eisenhower.
I'm just fucking choking on my tongue. Dwight D. Eisenhower and the evil Italian dictator, Benito Mussolini.
Who the fuck has a connection to Benito Mussolini?
Three presidents and the fucking guy on the other side.
Wasn't he killed? Like in the
Yeah,
he was
no, he was
beaten by
definitely-
kindergartners and hung.
And he was
or some
hung,
shit?
yeah, at the end of World War II by his own people because he was a son of a bitch.
You know what's a really weird story about that?
Yeah.
I have a great uncle who was he was in World War II, obviously, and he was in the band, and they were like in a like playing in like a military band, and they were going through Italy, and he has photos of different angles of Mussolini and his wife like hanging there.
Oh my God.
They've been talked about in the family forever.
Have you ever seen him?
Yeah, definitely. I remember seeing him as a kid.
Did it blow your mind?
Yeah, I was like, whoa, what the fuck? Who's the dead guy? And they're
That's
like,
grotesque and
they're
fascinating.
like, it's Mussolini. We don't talk about him because my family's obviously Italian. So,
Yeah, well,
they're like, we don't discuss
you can't
him.
sweep all that shit. You gotta put it out
But
there.
it's weird that he has this picture. It's a
I mean,
cousin,
I wouldn't
cousin
get
of
it.
mine has it.
I wouldn't get it blown up and like hanging on the fucking living room wall.
No, but it's weird because you know the picture that you know the famous picture of them hanging there.
Yeah.
But he has like different angles of shit. And
Just
you're like,
for history's
oh.
sake.
Yeah.
That should get out there.
I think it did actually. I'm
good.
pretty sure that members of
Some
my family
scholars have seen it.
put it out there. Yeah.
Good.
I'm
I
sure
don't want to see it, but
it's pretty.
historians probably
It's
do.
pretty. It's pretty fucked up.
Yeah, it's pretty fucked up.
Yeah, Mark's childhood.
So anyway, back to the Enquirer.
Continuing.
Pope took the formerly traditional newspaper and began blasting lurid headlines and gory images on the front page, a policy which was softened when the publication began penetrating more public spaces like supermarkets. Under his tenure, the Enquirer, as well as the soon-to-be-purchased sister publication, the even less reputable Weekly World News, yeah, he owned both of them.
I loved that one.
Yeah, that was more
my
fun,
favorite,
'cause it's
dude.
absurd.
Yeah, I love the Weekly World News.
Came to be considered little more than garbage journalism. In short, classic supermarket tabloids. But during the latter half of the 20th century, while its circulation skyrocketed and its reputation plummeted, the Enquirer also became noted by respected ufologists for digging into what they considered to be obscure yet genuine UFO cases. Much to the chagrin of all involved, especially those seeking to legitimize the field of ufology, this disreputable publication was one of the few places Americans could turn to for true facts behind many fascinating flying saucer cases. To those in the know, this was likely due to the fact that Pope's past career within the CIA made him the perfect agent to disseminate true information using what came to be regarded as an absolutely unreliable platform, one that he built himself from the ground up in order to delegitimize otherwise perfectly valid cases. It's well known in intelligence circles that the best way to hide something is to put it into the public in an untrustworthy context, thus corrupting the information to the point that legitimate news agencies won't touch it.
Oh, interesting.
So I know that was a kind of deep dive, though it is fascinating to me. And also there's that connection between the CIA and mob money. And the CIA and mob money and the assassination of JFK. I mean, that's one of the biggest conspiratorial labyrinths
drugs, CIA
which is legit. I mean, that's been proven.
Yeah, it was like introducing crack to America, basically. Like, yeah, totally.
Terrifying.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, I got to take a pause. That just fucked me up.
We're not going to cut that. We're going to leave that in because
Jesus Christ.
Rob and I are talking. We're in the studio, and all of a sudden the lights go out. All we see is our eyes and our computer screens. And for a split second, I'm like, "Fuck! The Canadian fires are. God damn it, Quebec!
I was thinking,
bitch.
Is it the UFOs? Did they catch Canadian fire?
No, it's finally Quebec that came and got us.
Honestly, what I was afraid was I thought the power went out. I didn't realize someone had just flicked the light switch. It took me a full heartbeat to realize that the computers were still on. And then I was actually still able to see you so that we can keep going.
Yeah.
So I tried to go like a professional, but like a complete amateur hour that I am, I just completely choked up. I'm like, I don't know if I can pod in the dark.
Oh, God. Oh, God.
What's going to happen?
Oh, God.
Blue Ribbon panel.
It's Dark Hynek. He's here.
Oh, God.
Maybe that was the entrance of the Dark Hynek.
He comes in the shadow. Literally.
Oh, gross. We both thought about that.
Yeah. Because we're both fucking 14 at heart. No matter how old we get, how white our beards get.
Oh, God. The old man being like, Jail Hynek outside the door, jerking off. Here we go. Okay. All right, Robert. Back to the Dark Hynek and the Dark Twist.
So I'm thinking Pope Jr. was very likely set up by the CIA to buy these publications.
Would make sense.
And I've seen in many different sources, like it doesn't come from me that's how intelligence gets ideas out there. But one specific, I wish I could cite. I can see the guy. He's an aerospace reporter, a former Air Force pilot of high regard, and he's retired long since. He's an older gentleman now, and he was basically saying that somebody told him that how you get these things out there and have people not pay attention to them is that they had this brand new kind of plane and they put it on he just gave a general example of a magazine cover like National Enquirer or Weekly World News with Bill Clinton shaking the hand of an alien in front of it. And it's like, you put something absurd like that and then you put in a very real thing. And he's like, yeah, it doesn't work. And the guy whose name he obviously didn't give said, it's worked for 50 years. It still works now. He goes, but why? He goes, because people like you won't look into it if it's on the cover of that magazine.
Hiding it in plain sight.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
So I wouldn't be surprised if disseminating disinformation by putting in little tidbits of real information.
Oh, yeah.
Hence why the National Enquirer was renowned, even though it befuddled ufologists at the time and maybe even to this day somewhat, why they would take such pains to report these things in a true and authentic fashion when the rest of it's all bullshit and Dolly Parton's third nipple and all sorts of, the devil sucks, all sorts of dumb, crazy shit that made no sense.
Fucking Bat Boy.
And then they would do this serious work. It is because that putting that serious work out in that context delegitimizes the serious work.
But again, CIA ops. I mean, they run shit like that constantly.
And they infiltrated all the ufology groups back in the 50s and 60s.
Well, now they just infiltrate fucking social media. It's super easy.
Yeah, it's the same
thing. You've got Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram. You have all this bullshit. You can just literally start putting out
I wonder if we have
shit.
any CIA agents on the Patreon platform.
Oh, if you guys are playing, if you're paying, let us know. If you're listening to free, you better start fucking paying because you got that CIA money.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, come on.
And, go for the $5 tier. Yeah. It's the government's fucking
this is
wallet,
on the government's
not yours.
dime, okay? Yeah.
Oh, my God. In another twist. Oh, shit. You ready to go bleak?
Oh, shit.
In another dark twist, after discovering the corpse of an employee in the back of a delivery truck with a note attached that read, "Don't fuck with us," Pope moved the Enquirer from their New York headquarters to Lantana, Florida, in 1971.
What the fuck?
But more on these home offices in a bit. For now, back to the UFO.
You're leaving
Blue
the
Ribbon
dead
panel.
body behind?
The dead body, because we're not, this is not the National Enquirer's Odyssey podcast, even though we went down that
we
rabbit
might
hole.
end up having to do one.
We might.
Okay.
But Lantana is going to play into it. So
Okay.
now you know why they moved from New York to Lantana, because a dead body and said, just stop fucking around. And apparently it was such a, and I don't know if he didn't pay off, Godfather, Frankie or fucking what, but for whatever reason, it was dire enough of a warning that he moved out of fucking state completely.
No, boy.
Whatever Pope's motivation may have been in publishing such bizarre cases, be it purely for profit or something even more insidious, like we were discussing, the National Enquirer seemed to be serious in their assembly of noted scientists to judge the UFO evidence brought to bear. Besides the aforementioned Dr. Hynek, the panel also included Aerial Phenomenon Research Organization's consultant and Berkeley professor, you'll remember this guy, Dr. James Harder, who'd come to the conclusion that the ball might actually be an alien atom bomb.
No, this
The old
guy.
doomsday
Man,
boy.
this guy.
This fucking guy.
This
over here.
fucking guy.
This fucking guy. What's he doing here? The esteemed jury was rounded out by psychologist Dr. R. Leo Sprinkle, who in 1974 was involved in the investigation of the infamous Carl Higdon abduction case featuring the fabled straw-haired, drill-bit-fisted elk enthusiast named Also One.
Oh, I remember Dr. Sprinkle.
Episode 85,
Yeah.
if you want to listen to that one.
Oh, you put it in there.
I do.
Thank you.
As well as such luminaries as plant biologist Frank B. Salisbury. Salisbury. I think it's like Salisbury steak. And State University of New York professor of philosophy, Dr. Robert F. Cregan. Aside from the PhD holders, the panel was also populated with such esteemed members as a former Supreme Court Justice, a former Attorney General of the United States, I think it might be Attorneys General, but whatever, and a former New York Court of Appeals judge, the heads of the APRO, the Mutual UFO Network, and the National Investigations, lost my place, Committee on Aerial Phenomenon, or NICAP, were also on hand to form a sort of mini panel that was in charge of deciding which cases would go before the primary panel.
How'd the Enquirer get all these people together?
Well, I mean,
They got
ufologists...
that Pope money, that Pope Jr. money. That's
Exactly.
why,
That's exactly what I was going to say. Ufologists are always working on a budget, even esteemed ones and famous ones like J. Allen Hynek. So anybody that can offer them a little money to do this shit is great. They also had the money to bring all this evidence together and to bring all these people together. So that was on their dime. So that helped them investigate these things. Also, I think Hynek held out the hope, at least I've read behind the scenes, that there would be deeper pockets at National Enquirer to do more serious investigations.
They got that CIA money.
Well, wherever it was coming from, I think, or the mob, or wherever it was coming from.
Hey, whatever.
I think he was hoping that some of that would be put into real investigations that would be reported exclusively in the National Enquirer, but at least the legwork would get done.
Okay.
But that never ended up manifesting. So I think that's how they did it, because they had extra cash and it didn't take much.
Deal with the devil.
And exactly.
Yeah, okay. Shit.
So, there it is.
CIA, the mafia, one and the same.
The team came together once a year and was charged with the daunting task of designating the most legitimate cases of UFO encounters reported within the last year, as well as examining any physical evidence of said encounters. It would be at the panel's discretion to decide if any of this evidence represented incontrovertible proof of alien life and thus award its presenter the prize money. Up until this point, the only winner was Durrell Johnson and family, who were involved in the renowned Delphos, Kansas UFO encounter, resulting in an intriguing series of photos of a glowing ring of inexplicably hydrophobic soil, which won them $5,000 for quote-unquote scientifically valuable evidence of UFOs. The Delphos, Kansas is one of maybe the most famous trace sighting in American history. Maybe not the most famous, but it's definitely up there.
Okay.
In April of 74, the current panel convened in New Orleans, and it was decided by the powers that be at the National Enquirer that the Betz mystery sphere, which had been Hynek's and Harder's obsession and the subject of such fervid media bombast in the previous weeks, had to be a part of the event. While they no doubt hoped to become the recipients of the substantial reward, the Betz family agreed to participate only at the insistence of these two men, that being Hynek and Harder, claiming that their primary objective was to expose the sphere to these and other reputable scientists who might be able to suggest what further analysis might be performed to help finally and definitively identify the anomalous orb. So according to the Betzes, they're just still in this to fucking know what it is.
Right.
And they've refused hundreds of thousands of dollars, nearly $1 million.
Yeah, the $50,000 doesn't really matter. They've been offered $750 at this point.
But in this case, if they win that, they get to keep the orb and win it.
Oh.
So that's a little icing, not giving it up.
Yeah.
And let's be honest, if this thing turned out, and even though a lot of ufologists now, in retrospect, like I don't think even Leo Sprinkle remembered the Betz sphere when he was interviewed on the Oddball podcast. And another Clark, shit, I wish I could remember his first name, a great writer. We talked about him before. He also was like, oh, it wasn't that big of a deal. Like, it's sort of dismissed now, but all the hubbub about it was so fucking furious back then that you had to think, if you're Jerry Betz and you're raising your family and you're doing what you can to get by and you're a hard worker and you're doing all this shit, if you are actually in possession of something, and Dr. Hynek's coming by constantly saying, this is a miracle, this atomic structure can't be found on Earth. You sell it for $750,000, you're happy in the short term. If you actually own an alien artifact, you're going to be a multi-millionaire.
Yeah, it's
at
true.
least.
True.
So I can see where you hold on to it as an investment.
Yeah, no,
but you
Jerry,
don't mind picking up $50,000.
Jerry had
the
the foresight for that one.
It didn't work out,
Well,
but she did have the foresight.
Well, spoiler alerts.
Well, we'd all know if that was definitive proof of aliens.
Well,
I don't think that's a spoiler alert.
disclosures upon us.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that's right. Hashtag disclosure now.
Fair enough.
There you go.
For their part, according to Lindsay Kilbride's series Oddball, again, another wonderful series to check out, the National Enquirer was so eager for the Betz's participation that a private plane was sent to pick up Terry and his brother Robin, who were designated to be the object's personal couriers, and deliver them to the Enquirer's new headquarters in Lantana, Florida.
Oh, Florida. Nice.
Frighteningly, according to the unidentified former science journalist and author of the 60-page manuscript about the affair, so you know who I'm talking about, during the flight down to the tabloid's offices, the sphere interfered with the electronics of the plane in an unspecified yet evidently significant way, prompting some involved to suggest that the object only be transported in a Faraday cage, a specialized enclosure used to block electromagnetic fields.
Oh, shit. Is it bringing down planes now?
So, I mean, this is well before cell phones. So I guess whatever sort of interference that modern day electronics can, use to influence a plane negatively, apparently this thing was doing.
I think
not to
it's
the
a
point
myth.
where it was like screaming panic.
Right.
You think it's a myth?
With cell phones on planes?
I don't know.
100%. Yeah. I mean, I don't, I'm going to hear from the pilots. I'm going to hear from I get it. But I think it's more, I don't know. It seems bizarre that, like, if one fucking asshole has their phone on, the plane crashes. Really?
I mean, that might be extreme.
Really?
It might be like maybe en masse. It could have some effect.
I always just turn mine to silent.
I don't have a dog in this fight. I just
Dude, the cool
bother,
pad. The cool pad might cripple an entire flight.
The cool pad might
fucking embarrassment.
bring down the whole FAA.
The entire organization, the FAA.
And then it might shame America into becoming a colony of Britain again. That's how bad the fucking cool pad is.
The cool pad's like
the cool pad could
dog
fucking ruin
shit,
all
dude.
of us. So respect me. They might have the orb. I've got the cool pad.
The embarrassment alone will bring the whole plane down.
Oh, Lord.
All right.
Okay. So Faraday cages aside, mercifully the crew and the passengers made it safely to their destination. Once there, Enquirer employees nicknamed the ball Edward and kept it locked in a safe. It was recorded by a Tampa newspaper the following day that at some point the ball had been placed on a table set on the uneven lawn outside of the publication's offices where, as so often before, it rolled slowly around the edges, maintaining its precarious balance and even managed to roll uphill of its own accord, as numerous visitors to the Betz castle had already attested. So at some point, according to one newspaper report from Tampa, it did all of its antics in public.
Doing tricks.
Boogity boo.
There you go. Cool.
After this, the Betz boys and their enigmatic orb allegedly continued their trek to New Orleans, where things took a turn toward the suspicious, if not outright sinister. According to Jerry, not long after her sons arrived at the conference, Terry was informed by an unnamed man who'd had a hand in organizing the event that his mother was trying to call him. There had been a family emergency and she needed him to return home immediately. Terry desperately tried to get a hold of his mom, but was unable to get through. Terry and his brother understandably assumed the worst and made swift arrangements with the project's sponsor to take them home immediately. The Enquirer agreed, but they insisted that the boys had to leave the ball behind for the panel's inspection. At this point, there is some dispute regarding whether or not this final negotiation took place in Lantana or New Orleans. So some people say that your mom's calling, there's been an emergency happened before they left for New Orleans. Some people say right after they arrived. Doesn't really have much bearing on it, but I'm going to put it out there that there is a little bit of contention there. But whatever the case, the brothers, admirably prioritizing family over sphere, agreed to the terms and were sent home. To their relief, they found their totally bewildered mother, Jerry, unhurt. She asked them what they were doing back so early, and the kids explained that they'd been told there was a family emergency and that she had requested them to return post-haste. Jerry insisted that she'd never called and that there had been no emergency. It seemed it had all been a ruse to get them to leave without the artifact.
Oh, dude, they fucking got duped, man. The double ball switcheroo.
That's why it's illegal.
Oh, shit. What? Call your mom. Be like, Mom, what's the emergency?
They tried. We'll deal with this right now.
Dude, God damn it. God damn it.
But for what reason and by whom were they duped are the questions. Okay. As to why Terry was unable to get through to his mom, addressing what you were just saying, those of a conspiratorial bent might be inclined to believe that this was the result of some high-tech chicanery. But the simple fact was, in those long-gone days before call waiting, busy signals abounded, and anyone attempting to contact the perpetually harassed Betz clan in April of 1974 would likely have met the same fate. Still, as the late great Kurt Cobain so accurately sang, just because you're paranoid, don't mean they're not after you. So whether their efforts to call home were thwarted by nefarious forces or a simple busy signal is a matter of conjecture. We don't know, but it doesn't matter.
Okay, well, no, that makes sense.
Because that's not the shady part.
Because if they try to call, the phone's obviously consistently busy, and if the government wanted to, I'm sure they could fuck up the phone calls. Because all that shit back in the day was all copper anyway. It's not like you're dealing with like digital or fiber or something like that. You know, it's so much harder to fuck with a cell phone.
Yes.
So, all right, got it.
So who knows?
Okay.
And if they were calling from the Lantana offices, they could have manipulated the phones from there or from the conference or the hotel, wherever this fucking blue ribbon panel was taking place.
Fucking Florida again.
Yes.
Lantana.
God damn it.
Son of a bitch.
Possibly Louisiana.
All right.
But
we don't fucking know.
Livid that her sons had been sent back without the precious probe in their possession, Jerry and the boy's stepfather, again, not father as initially reported, Antoine, immediately sent one of their daughters and the unnamed former science journalist and his then wife. Wouldn't it be odd if that was the daughter he falls in love with?
Oh, no, dude. Salacious orgies or whatever.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, dude.
Nice alliteration,
You
buddy.
like that?
Yeah,
I can alliterate. Yeah.
Oh, I'm so proud of you right now.
Sweet.
All right. Anyway, this fucking trio.
This triplet of fuck.
Yeah, no doubt. Sent them down to the Lantana offices of the National Enquirer to demand an explanation and the return of their property. They were stymied by a secretary before being admitted into the office of Enquirer executive John Webb, who not only refused to provide the written contract that had been drawn up between the family and the publisher, but did everything in his power to prevent them from seeing the contentious capsule. Eventually, it was established that they could get the ball at the New Orleans panel, indicating, perhaps, that it was no longer in the Enquirer's hands. Terry then flew directly from his home to New Orleans, while his sister and company drove across state lines at what was likely record pace in order to meet him there. So they got the whole clan on the hunt now.
Shit.
Back in New Orleans, the famed and now unsupervised mystery sphere became the center of attention, and between April 20th and 21st, 1974, the device was subjected to yet another battery of tests. While the panel confirmed much of what Harding, Hynek, and the Omega-1 Institute, as well as Navy researchers had already revealed, including the fact that the object acted like an audio transponder, it could not discern the origin of the orb. Though it allegedly performed some incredible feats behind the scenes, Dr. Hynek, in direct contravention of his statements to the Betz family, publicly surmised that the object was likely man-made. although he conceded he had no idea what it was or where it came from. In what was, for all involved, an astonishing turn of opinion, Hynek also added, according to a radio interview called for Kilbride's podcast, that the object failed to negotiate the table without being manually prevented from falling off the sides, again in direct dispute of the claims of other witnesses as to the sphere's uncanny balancing abilities. The seemingly damning indictment as to the legitimacy of the orb's exploits would not only perplex the Betzes, but would lead future investigators to ponder whether this celebrated scientist was putting the sphere's authenticity into question, not only because he'd been ordered to do so by his superiors, but also to throw the family off the track in regards to the soon-to-be very different device's sudden lack of miraculous abilities. But more on that in a moment.
This is the dark Hynek.
That is the darkest
This
Hynek.
is the dark. This is the fucking turncoat Hynek.
Yeah, like I'm hanging out,
He's a
I'm telling you
Benedict
about
Arnold.
Roswell. I'm being your buddy. I'm smoking my pipe. I'm like knocking some ashes on the floor. You don't complain.
Yeah.
He's Hynek.
Yeah.
He's a respected member of the fucking faculty at Northwestern University, and he's a guest in your goddamn home.
Possible inappropriate shit with the ball.
Possibly.
Regardless.
There might have been some touching. But you know what? That's bridge under the water. Water under the bridge. Yeah, fucking bridge under the water.
Like a bridge under troubled water.
Oh my
There
God.
you go. Dark Hynek will lay you down.
No doubt. Everything's reversed.
He sure is. He's going to stand you the fuck up.
Was Dark Hynek at the Silver Bridge? Are we missing on all the clues?
Oh, no. We figured it out.
Once Terry arrived at the conference center where the Blue Ribbon panel was being convened, he, in what was manifestly an effort by all involved to add further fuel to the conspiratorial fire, was refused entry by security. Enraged, he managed to push his way through the doors. Can you imagine just fighting through security? It's like a Hollywood moment.
Yeah, really.
Where all in attendance and the panel itself looked up in stunned silence at the sudden commotion. With all of the witnesses on hand, the security team seemed reticent to pull him out of the premises. Not one to miss an opportunity like this, Terry demanded that he be informed where the ball had been held and what kind of tests had been subjected to it while it had been out of his protection. Strangely, the scientists involved with the panel refused this perfectly reasonable request. Would not tell him. Wouldn't tell him shit.
Okay.
At this point, one of the audience members, already impressed with the object's abilities, asked Terry if the ball had any other tricks it could perform. The 21-year-old paused for a beat and said, "Yeah, it can do this." Then, to the shock of everyone involved, he walked up to the panel, grabbed the spear, and walked out of the conference hall, thus negating any possibility of winning the award and evidently confirming that the Betzes were not in this for the money. So can you do anything else? Yeah, motherfucker. Can walk out of this motherfucking panel.
That's exactly what it can do this. And he just picks it up and leaves. You're like,
It's
oh,
badass.
shit, dude.
Terry ain't having it. Obviously, he doesn't fall from the Jerry tree.
No, dude. Terry ain't fucking around. Holy shit. That's great.
I love it. Carrying the orb, Terry climbed into his sister's waiting car and they drove home. But though Terry managed to leave with the object, the controversy surrounding it was just beginning. As soon as Team Terry arrived home,
Team Terry,
he and his family thoroughly inspected the sphere. Though it superficially seemed the same, it was discovered that the object that had been returned to them after the panel's private observations was not the same one that had been presented at the conference, or at least left in the National Enquirer's vaults, depending on which story you believe. In fact, it appeared to be either a very clever forgery or the same sphere that had somehow been robbed of its mystifying capabilities. The justifiably infuriated Betz family claimed that not only did the orb not act the same, but when it was sent back in for an additional set of x-rays, the results were decidedly different, making it clear to all that their cherished object had been damaged or replaced by either one or an array of, and here it goes, A, Blue Ribbon panel members, the ufologists themselves, B, representatives of the National Enquirer, including perhaps its former CIA psych warfare serving publisher, C, insidious unidentified intelligence agents, D, a menacious military faction, or perhaps most preposterously, though still quite possible, and my favorite, E, a dark cabal of occult forces working within various government agencies in order to use paranormal artifacts to aid in the defense of the nation and curtail all of her enemies' capabilities.
You got me with E.
It's one of them.
You got me.
Or
with E.
something else.
It's the Crowley faction.
It's got to be E.
It's the Crowley. It's the Crowley
we all want
faction.
it to be E.
It's the coolest one,
It's
honestly.
probably not, but it has to be.
I hope it is. The CIA psych op guy is kind of cool though too.
That's the thing, because you always hear about that group in the Pentagon that is afraid of looking into UFOs because they think they're being piloted by demons.
The devil, yeah.
Which is asinine, because that is no way to defend a
when
nation.
When the fucking devil people buy the orb, or steal the orb, guess what? Ha, gotcha.
Oh, yeah.
Gotcha, boys.
Didn't even think about that.
Gotcha.
Right.
There you go.
But you don't ever hear about the people using the occult for the country. Except for Parsons a little bit.
Yeah, he did.
Right.
I don't think they would.
You sounded so exasperated.
Well, because they're all too self-centered.
Why can't you be patriotic and
they're all
capitalistic?
It's all about yourself. It's all about being self-centered. You are your own god. You are your own little demon.
But there is communal magic
yeah,
for the greater
whole
good
country
magic.
thing, they're gonna be like, fuck them. It's all about us. Fuck off. Enjoy the casserole. We're going to see strippers. See ya. There you go.
You are the pod magic expert, so
God.
I have to defer to you.
No, yeah, we are definitely not patriotic.
It would be easy to assume that, rather than some grand conspiracy, the orb fell prey to the covetous hands of one or more ufologists on the panel, which would in part help explain why they had refused to answer any of Terry's questions concerning the ball and where it had been. Most specifically, based on his dire prognosis regarding the true nature of the sphere, it's not a stretch to suspect that it might have been taken by APRO's Dr. Harder, if for no other reason than to prevent foolish future scientists from convincing the Betz family to drill into the device with unfathomably calamitous consequences. If that were the case, one could almost understand, possibly even laud, Dr. Harder's larceny. But that theory being established, there is more than circumstantial evidence to indicate that, as speculated earlier, the culprit may have been none other than the legendary Dr. J. Allen Hynek himself. According to Kilbride, Hynek would later claim in a newspaper interview that, despite numerous eyewitnesses testifying to the contrary, the only time he ever saw the sphere was at the New Orleans UFO conference, as we said earlier, implying that he never went to or spent days in the Betz home. He also seemed to bemoan the fact that he was offered so little time to inspect the sphere, while nevertheless doubling down regarding its prosaic nature, stating that it gave no signs of being extraterrestrial in origin. This flies in the face of multiple eyewitnesses who claimed that Hynek and the Betzes had grown very close over the weeks leading to the panel. Even so, thus far, it is just a case of he said, they said. But Kilbride adds an intriguing twist to the tale, stating that Dr. Hynek's sons, that's plural, claim to have not only seen but actually played with a heavy metallic ball identical in description to the Betz sphere, a globular object that they as young boys are wont to do, energetically kicked back and forth on the floor of their parents' basement, blithely unaware of the fact that they were toying with a device that some believed had the potential to annihilate the planet. But that will be saved for part 4 and what is our guaranteed final installment in the odyssey of this enigmatic orb.
The Dark Hynek. How hilarious is it that years later kids are like, oh yeah, no, we had that. We were kicking it around the basement. You're
it's
what?
Like it appears in our, and I'll cite the specific article next week. It appears in an article, and then when Kilbride gets a hold of one of his sons, I think it's Paul, the one that you often see on TV talking about his dad's legacy, the one that served as one of the consultants on the Blue Book TV show, the fictional TV show.
Yeah.
He's like, well, and he definitely starts walking it back hard. But then when you read or hear more about this odyssey on Kilbride's podcast, you hear that, oh, wait, no, my other one brother said he found it somewhere and it was like a valve that did something to something. And then his older brother came and said, oh no, Dad brought it home one day and this is what the size was and it was weird. And so he tries to walk back it's from some Florida case. Like we just assume probably that his dad was given it, like here's some evidence, and it ends up in their basement and it's fucking around. He doesn't realize that it's this very coveted, very unique, possibly very dangerous artifact.
Yeah, this is a weird twist for Dr. Hynek because up till now it's been like, yeah, he's hanging out with the Betz, doing possible dirty shit with the spear, doing this, doing that, and now all of a sudden he has this weird heel turn.
Yeah.
It's like, well, what? So either he's doing it to try to distance himself from it, or if he's a part of the op, I hate to think of Hynek like that. He is lovable.
Sure.
He's one of my faves.
He's the cuddly, UFO uncle that we all love.
Yeah. I mean,
he was there. He did a cameo in Close Encounters of the Third Kind. He gets to play with his pipe. And
maybe if he had to be in on it for the, national security.
So here's the thing, and here's what may be an out. First off, here's the double ball out. Fucking, there's no guarantee he's involved in any of this.
That's true.
This is just all, hearsay and accusation and counter accusation.
Right.
So there's that, and that always has to be acknowledged. But secondly, he might have had really good reasons, as we mentioned earlier.
Mm-hmm.
If he's really thinking, like you say, about national security at the highest levels, and this is a potentially destructive device, or it is legitimate proof of, alien technology, and he doesn't know what its capabilities are, even if it's not, inherently dangerous, then him addressing this to the government seems to be someone that, lived through a couple world wars, was loved his country, had kids and grandkids he wanted to look after. That's something that might legitimately do without any nefarious or dark intentions.
Right.
On the other hand, as was mentioned in one of the previous pods, as one of the guys that he worked with at APRO, Clark, said, he was not above, taking things, mostly granted papers from government offices that he thought were going to get lost otherwise, and that he was just deeply desperate to prove the legitimacy of ufology, to basically throw it in the face of all the people that it shed on him for having the balls.
Right.
And he deserves to be lauded for this, to take a real risk with his career and say, you know what, I think there's something to this.
Yeah, I can see both sides of that, honestly. I really can. And especially, it's not so much desperation. It's like, this is the one.
Yeah.
He's not desperate for it, but he's like, no, this is the one that I need to finally fucking prove this shit.
And if he really believes,
so I get it.
It's funny, so many people are like, oh no, it's like a paper mill valve, other things. I know I keep saying we'll get into that next pod. We're definitely going to get into that next pod. And what a lot of the debunkers say and why most of it is bullshit, which is not a shock to any of us. But before we get there, if what he really seems to be saying in all these other episodes about the atomic weight of these metals and all these other things that are clearly indicative of this being manufactured in another part of the galaxy, and he believed that, and he saw these results, and it was irrefutable to him and Harder and a lot of the other guys, then I can see him going, I can't fuck around. I can't let this one go. I can't let integrity be the bulwark that prevents me from making sure the world understands that this is a real phenomenon, whether he's doing it to placate his own naysayers or he's doing it because the world really needs to know this. And I can understand that. And sometimes, like I said before, like with the Jimmy Stewart example, notably good human beings can have a faltering moment, especially if they've convinced themselves that they're doing it for a greater good.
Dude, he had to go dark Hynek for the greater good. He's not the Hynek that we got, but you know what he is? He's the Hynek that we need.
There it is.
Yeah, there it is. Thank y'all so much for joining us. The Betz Mystery Sphere, Part 3. Again, my favorite title, goddammit. The Dark Hynek. Robert, we have some very special folks that support us over there.
Love them.
At patreon.com/Cryptonaut podcast. And right now, my friend, we're going to give them some very special shout-outs. I love my cadence.
Whittier Frog.
Thank you, Whittier Frog.
Medicky Ches.
I believe that's my dick cheese, but I could be wrong. If that is your name, I'm sorry, but I believe we've gotten duped again, good sir.
Oh, I got burned. I didn't see it coming.
My dicky cheese. Continuing on.
Chris Knoll.
Thank you, Chris.
Juan.
Hell yeah, Juan.
MJ Armstrong.
Thank you so much, MJ.
John Marks.
John Marks, what up? Thank you.
Trash Panda from space.
Hell yeah, Trash Panda. Thank you so much.
Mike Perez.
Thank you so much, Mike.
Chris Brown.
Hell yeah, Chris. Thank you so much.
Stuart Schweigert.
I'm going to give a very special shout out to Stuart. Actually, I got a chance to talk to him a little bit over the Instagram, and he's a retired 9-year veteran of guess what?
What?
The NFL.
No shit.
Yeah, Raiders Nation, baby. What up?
Oh, that's wicked.
Yeah, dude. I'm obviously a big Bills guy. My second favorite fan base. Clearly, my first is Bills Mafia. My second favorite, though, Raiders Nation.
Yeah, they're crazy.
They're fucking awesome.
Always crazy. I remember
they look like Mad Max outtakes. I love it.
My memories of that shit from the 70s was literally like it was gang warfare.
Oh, dude.
Like it wasn't football anymore. It was like
awesome.
picks from the Warriors and fucking Mad Max, like you were saying.
They have the coolest fucking fan base ever. So yes, thank you so much, Stuart. We appreciate your support over there. Again, that is the patreon.com/Cryptonaut podcast. Your $1 and the $5 get you access to the Discord, so be sure to sign up for that. We're on the internet, the social medias, the Instas, the Twitters, the Facebooks. We're doing it socially, having that happen over there on the medias. HellerSpace.com, get some merch. Cryptonautmerch.com. Check that out there. Rob hinted there could be a new shirt. We don't know yet. We'll see.
The illustration is more than in the works.
Okay, all right, cool. There might be a dark Hynek shirt. We're not sure. Do not hold us to that. Because in 6 months, if you email us, like, where's the dark Hynek? I'm not going to reply. Just saying.
I'm definitely going to finish drawing.
We'll see. We'll see what's there, happening there. There it is.
Fair enough.
There's the merch. There's the socials. There's the shouts. There's the Patreons. There is the dark Hynek. Thank you all so very much for joining us, and we'll be talking with you soon.
Can't wait. Can't wait to round this up.
Come back next week, part 4.
The darker Hynek.
Yeah, dude. We got fucking black metal Hynek. Yeah. Fucking sweet, dude. He's burning churches and stealing orbs.
He's got the paint on his face.
Yeah. Oh, dude.
I am not going to draw him with paint on.
No, you should do corpse paint fucking Hynek.
No, I'm not doing that. That's not what my idea is.
Do a Dark Throne Hynek.
I'm not going to go
my God, that'd
to
be
black
amazing.
metal. Maybe we will someday. Maybe we'll do 2. I don't know.
If Hynek was around to do a split with Dark Throne, that would be fucking amazing.
That would have been incredible.
God damn it.
Undeniable.
A world I can't live in.
No, it's too much.
We're getting choked out by pumpernickel and the fires from Quebec.
Yeah, we're living with the fucking exactly the Flames of Quebec, which by the way would be his fucking metal band.
The Flames of Quebec, I love it.
And and the UAPs come.
Oh God, they come again. There it is. Thank you all so very much. Talking to you soon.